to another episode of Stuck in My Mind podcast. I am your host, Wize, and today's guest has taught that, that the body cannot be ignored when chasing greatness. My next guest is a professional dancer, corporate executive, somatic movement therapist, and founder of WildHeart Expressive and the ChakraMental Method. From the stage to the boardroom, she discovered the thread that matters is how your body carries our story. She helps leaders, creatives, and change makers release trauma in tissue, reclaim voice in their business, and lead embodied. If you're ready to feel your life and lead it, you're in the right place. Please welcome Angel Howard to Stuck in My Mind podcast.
Thank you so much for inviting me and having me here.
Pleasure's all mine. It's all mine. So I'm excited. So, Angel, you've lived many lives: dancer, corporate executive, somatic therapist. How did you realize that success on the outside wasn't filling you up?
Well, I mean, the day you wake up and you're like, I'm an 80s corporate chick and I'm top of my game. I'm doing great, but there's more. There's more. And the there's more push is always empty because you will never fulfill a there's more. That's not enough. You can do more. And that's actually familial for me. That's the way I grew up. But the day that I couldn't get off the couch, I would say that was a big dawning day. I was paralyzed. I just stared at the walls and I'm like, what is wrong with me? And I was exhausted. I probably couldn't speak very well that day if somebody had come to me. I lived alone in the San Fernando Valley in Los Angeles area. And I think, oh, yeah. In fact, one of my neighbors happened to be a friend of mine who she lived that life too. But you get into this groove of doing too much all the time. And in that time in LA, your neighbors weren't like checking on you like they do in the South. They're like, hey, we haven't heard from her in a while. And I had a friend of mine, she died one day and nobody found her for 3 days.
Wow.
So, I mean, you start to realize, whoa, I'm the only one taking care of myself. You got to take care of yourself because burnout really is paralyzing.
Yeah, absolutely. So at Coca Cola and beyond, you've learned that body carries our story even when we don't have words. What did you observe about the body's message?
In the corporate world
Yes.
or beyond that? Okay.
Both.
Well, remember, I was the corporate chick in the 80s. Okay.
Yes.
The 80s were a big push. It was the bigger, the better, the more, we want more, bigger, bigger, better, better. So, you've heard of peacocks and, what is it when a guy, when he struts his stuff? So corporations and men, I'm just going to say men in the corporate world had to fill their chest up to fill the room up. They had to come in and beat their chest and like, listen to me. I know what I'm talking about. So it was all about the presentation and what we now call the imposter syndrome. And what I teach people is you can do all that all you want, but how you really feel about yourself, the stories you carry, that the insecurities that are just there, they come out. We read it because we as humans are social animals. We as humans are animals. And we have that limbic brain, that instinctual area that looks out for danger. And when somebody is saying one thing, yet emitting another message, disconnect. And that breeds distrust. So I'd say that's where I saw it in the corporate world.
Okay. So what moment pushed you from climbing the ladder into the world of somatic movement and healing?
Oh, wow. That's a big gap. Well, that's a big gap because I went from climbing the corporate ladder to getting a master's in international business and finance. And I did that in Southern Europe. And what I discovered there is Europeans are very human. They accept the fact that we are in our human bodies and we have to take care of them. And for them, an hour lunch is just the minimum. And then eating late in the day and always eating with people and having a little social time every day. So I learned, even though I was being very successful and pushing in school and getting my master's, that the playtime and the relaxed time was as important because I'd forgotten that in the corporate world. So that's
It's no, it's crazy how in other countries they don't yes, they work and everything, but it's not like here where it's just work, work, work. Don't we need to take time to focus on ourselves and take those moments like our lunch, yeah, and
yeah,
enjoy it and enjoy it with other people.
right.
That's something we lack here where we don't have that, where
They're
we're just work, 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 work.
they're not as externally, I call it, focused or motivated.
Mm,
They really are internal. You think about Italians or French. They love life, they l'amour. They want to be with their lover. They want to think about their wonderful. They want to eat chocolate. They want to drink wine. It's just a part of life,
mhm.
which is feeding the soul at the same time. You can be successful. You can work hard. I have a lot of Italian friends that work their rear ends off, but man, do they enjoy their dinners.
Yeah, yeah, that's something yeah, I have a friend, she's from Italy, and she just loves life. She travels all over and does so many different and she works hard. She's but I can just the communication I've had with her and the relationship it's I realize like, man, I would love to live my life a little bit more like how she does.
And why don't you?
I guess fear maybe. Maybe I'm not just don't have the courage to do something like that.
Oh, now I'm gonna turn the tables on you. I'll start talking to you. Wait, this is gonna change here real quick. Anyway, I won't do that to you unless you say it's
It don't matter. We're here to talk.
okay. Okay. So this you see this lifestyle of feeding the soul. And one of the questions that always makes me stop and think is when someone asks me, what feeds your soul? What do you do that feeds your soul? So I'm asking you that question. What do you do that feeds your soul?
What we're doing right now, having these conversations, being able to share these conversations with other people. This I love this. This when I started podcasting, I didn't know what my purpose was, and like I was 44 years old, didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, and like I have a good paying job,
Mhm.
but it wasn't fulfilling.
Mhm.
So
Mm.
once I started podcasting and doing the interviews and having these wonderful conversations and learning and growing, it really changed the way I look at a lot of things. It's just been an amazing 5 years since I started the podcast.
Mhm. I agree with you there. I have become friends with some of these hosts because they're just so cool and we have the greatest conversations.
Mhm.
But my next question to you is why, when I said, why aren't you living like that? Like your friend who's enjoying life and traveling and drinking wine and having chocolate. So why aren't you doing that? Not the having to travel. I can understand that.
Yeah.
Just,
Oh, no.
serving yourself.
Oh, yeah, no, I am. I'm believe me, I'm learning. I am I've learned I've grown so much in the past 4 years. Like, this year I took this year my one of my goals was to, improve my relationship with God, right?
Mhm.
And
Okay.
it was something that I just felt that I needed to do personally. And I'm not saying that I go to church every week because I
Mhm.
don't, but it was just something I just felt that I needed to talk to God more often and more frequently and just work on my relationship with him. So that's one of the things that's helped me so much this year because since that process, things have really started to fall into place and align
Mm.
with by me opening myself up and willing and just like, you know what? I needed this. I needed to speak to God, and I needed these moments. Every morning I wake up, I do my affirmations. I spend some time just sitting and reflecting on what I'm going to do for the rest of the day. So
Mhm.
these are things that I've done in the past 11 months that's really helped me become much more well rounded.
Yeah, so I'll circle back now and put this into the somatic perspective. Alignment. What a great word. Alignment means so many things. When you think about the body, you think about the spine and the hips and then the shoulders squaring up and aligning, right?
Mhm.
And that is a physical manifestation of what's happening also in your psyche, in your mind, and in your emotions. When we get emotional, when we get out of sorts, when we get hit with a remembering of a trauma or a trigger, it hits us in a way that gets us offline a little bit.
Mm.
It will show up in our body. So, how do people get back in line? Which brings us back to that question, how did I start to notice in the corporate world this mind body? Because I noticed when people were saying one thing and their body was telling me something else. So when I tell people, when I coach people, we know what's going on because we can't help it. We sense it because it's just we're born that way.
Mhm.
So the thing to do is to find out what it is. If something triggers, if something goes off, how do you get back into alignment? You just told us that you take the time. You have to stop. That's one thing. And I can imagine that when you're aligning yourself with God, with the higher self, you're not thinking a whole lot about how many podcasts you got to do and all the numbers. Am I right?
Yeah, not at all. No.
Yeah. So that's what I tell you. You have to get out of your head. I say, people, if you can just cut your head off for 20 minutes, two, one, try one. Just just let go of everything happening like from your chin up for a moment and just go down anywhere in your body where you feel sensation and follow it. Follow the sensation. Like, how painful will it be if you actually let it express? People push pain down so much, they think it's not there. And then they're like, oh, wow, I got a minute. And then it starts to come up, or something triggers, or you moving away. So I love this word alignment because mentally being aligned, right?
Mhm.
Mentally aligning your goals and what you want with where you're going. And people ask me, well, how do you know? How do you know if you're how do you know you're on? How would you know if you're aligned? And I say, and I guarantee that you will agree with me on this, is you get this sense of joy. You
Mhm.
get this sense of peace. You look at something that you want to do or that you're doing, and you notice for a minute, if you get out of your head and in your body, but you notice for a minute, you have this feeling of delight.
Yeah.
Like, this is delightful.
Yeah.
And that's a sensation to follow, right? When you want that alignment. I love that word. Thank you for bringing it into the podcast.
No, but it's so true because what like this right here brings so much joy to me. Like this right here fills me up when I'm doing my podcast, when I'm able to have these conversations and learn so much. And I've learned a lot in the 5 years. I've communicated with people from all over the world. That's a great thing about this is that I've been able to build relationships with people from all over the world. Been with Japan, Australia,
Mhm.
China, and so I speaking to all these people, it's like it's just it hits me that like yes, we are all different, but at
Mhm.
the core of it all, a lot of the people that I've spoken to, we have a lot. We believe in a lot of the same things. We just want happiness for ourselves and our families and those we love. We want. I know I know for me being able to discover my purpose and find out and then talking to these other people and finding out that what their purpose are and it's just been amazing to just to do this. Like I said, this prior to the podcast, and I didn't have media experience. I wasn't on radio. I wasn't on TV. And so when I started, it was like, and I finally got the courage to release my first episode because there was a lot of deleting, recording because I was in my own head telling myself, "Oh, I suck. I don't know who's gonna want to listen to me. I don't have a degree in this or any other." But it just took me just finally just facing my fear and just pressing record and then releasing it. And
Mhm.
and then of course it with each episode I improved more and more and then I started learning more about titles, descriptions and tags and like, I didn't know any of these things. And
Right.
so, because I watched podcasts, but I didn't know anything about our RSS feed and none of that stuff. So
All the behind the scenes stuff, right?
it took me doing it and just learning, and YouTube University has been very helpful for me, and it's helped me so much in a lot of the things that I.
Yeah. So two things that stick out to me. One is you followed your bliss.
Mhm.
But to step through and to step over, to step through that gap of uncomfortableness, like crazy uncomfortableness, and also facing those voices,
Yeah,
my man, facing those voices and telling them wherever they came from, they were in your head, and they're telling you you can't because it's not good enough, all those things. And I don't know if you had to silence it or if you just had to step through it, like stepping through glass. I'm just going to get through this. There is another side. And that's something that I love for listeners to understand is whatever we're talking about, where we were, where we are now, that gap, that we all have to close, whether we want better relationships, where we have to look at what's not aligned. We have to look at it, what's hidden in the shadows, those voices. Yours came out as voices telling you weren't good enough. You
yeah,
followed your bliss anyway. And that is something that is motivating to me. Follow your bliss. And you believe in law of attraction?
of course. I've watched The Secret so many times. That
Yeah.
was that was that was the beginning for me to into the world of self-development, 'cause, like I said, when we first started, before when we was offline, where I come from, we weren't taught about self-development. We weren't taught about any of this stuff. It was just go to school, get a degree, go to work, and retire from wherever you're gonna work at. We
Right.
weren't taught about self-development. We weren't taught about reading such and such a book to help you improve, or whatever it was. And then so when I when I got with my first wife, she introduced me to the world of self-development. She introduced me to The Secret and everything. And so,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that was, and it was amazing was I got to actually interview, Bob Doyle from The Secret.
Oh,
So
wow.
it was, like, amazing for me to be able to interview him, because, like I said, I watched The Secret, I read the book, and then to just be able to speak to someone who contributed to the book and to the movie, and it was awesome.
So you're a blessing to your listeners, to your podcast audience. Because many of them, I'm sure, I mean, they would listen to you because you are about self development, but maybe not. Maybe because you're a guy from New York, and maybe they're like, what does this guy have to say? And then it's like, if you can do it, then I can do it. Right. And that's one of the messages I'd love to get out universally is like, you're loved, you deserve, and you can do it. You can do it. You don't need a whole lot of stuff. You just need the motivation. You need the why. The why is so important.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, and you followed your bliss. I love it. Joseph Campbell.
Oh, yeah, I love the fact that I'm able to have these conversations. I just, to me, it's I wish everyone could have this feeling sometimes, like, when I'm here recording, it's like, I wish people could feel what I'm feeling when I'm doing this, because it's just like you said, it's my bliss. This is where I'm just so happy when I'm doing it.
Yeah, yeah. So where are you taking me today?
Oh, so we're about so you've walked through burnout, loss, reinvention. How did movement of your body become the entry point to healing?
Oh, okay. I can give you the exact moment.
Okay, let's go.
Okay. My marriage was horrific. I had a husband that I had walked in on with another woman when I was 3.5 months pregnant with our second child. So boom. I mean, that was something I've never seen. I didn't live around that kind of stuff. So that was incredibly shocking. So at that point, all my ideas of what life is supposed to be, what marriage is supposed to look like, the fairy tales and growing old together and all that stuff literally crashed and burned right in front of me.
Yeah.
And so that where movement came in was I had found this class. I don't even know how, this is another story about how I ended up at the Omega Institute getting certified in somatic movement that was called dance kinetics. And during that time, I was dealing with the dissolving of my relationship. We were still married, but dealing with it. And every day we moved for 6 to 8 hours, even if it was subtle, it's bringing attention into the body and releasing, bringing attention, feeling it, releasing it, and let it heal. They say you remove the thorn and God will heal,
Yeah.
right? So this is the movement helped, first of all, find the thorn. Then you remove it by different types of movements, all different types of movement. And somatic just means body.
Yeah.
And then the one time that I always tell people, and I started a book with this, is I'd had a horrible exchange with my ex-husband and my little boys, my tiny little sweet boys. And it was a horrible exchange. I can't even explain it, but the boys were distraught. He was awful. I mean, peeled out of the parking lot and shot rocks up at me. Anyway, and I got everybody settled. And then all of a sudden I felt the paralysis again. And I'm like, what am I going to do? I mean, what am I going to do? And I was in a town that was his town, not my family, not my town. So I didn't have a whole lot of support. So I ended up on the floor in fetal position, just getting as small as I possibly can, just curling all the way in, trying to disappear, literally trying to disappear. And something inside of me, mostly my boys, because I just could never leave them, it said, just move anything, move any part of your body. And I literally was like, okay, I started moving my finger and kind of like Charlie Brown, just moving my finger. And I was like, okay, I'm going to follow this. And then I got up enough to turn the stereo on. And once the music came in and filled the room, I was able to just move my body, move into the pain and the grief and the anger and the tears that came up that, you can't express sometimes in whatever situation you're in. But it's like the lid came off. The movement helped the lid come off. And I was able to express these horrible feelings. And that's how it really became very powerful for me.
Awesome. What another question. Why is it so hard for high achievers to feel fulfilled even when they've hit big milestones?
To feel accomplished or successful, I can tell you from my experience, because I'm one of them.
Yeah.
I grew up in a family with a very successful father who brought himself up and into being a very successful doctor, but he was born in Harlan, Kentucky, and put himself through school, medical school, and all that stuff. They call him Determined Doc. So he was our role model. Like nothing stopped him. And he had the mantra that if you do it long enough, you will succeed. Like playing tennis. You got to get on the court. If it takes you 1,000 swings to get it right, let's start 101, 102, 103. He's like that. So you have that as a role model. Wonderful mom who could have run IBM. She was a housewife, but she was very numbers, economics, all that kind of stuff. And 3 older brothers, all right, that were all successful. So here's the little sister coming up. And the thing I think is, well, what can I possibly do to be enough in this whole situation?
Yeah.
And even when I brought A's home, well, you could do better. A is okay, honey, but you could make an A plus. B plus, you could make an A. A plus, well, that's great, but we expected that of you. So you never get to celebrate your successes. Your success is never enough. And that's another thing I tell my clients. Every milestone, celebrate somehow. You just have to say and be grateful to yourself. But it never becomes enough. Like we started the whole podcast off,
Yeah.
In Coca Cola, whatever it is that you reach, it's not enough.
Yeah.
And like people who are making money, it's like, I made $1 million. That's all I ever wanted to make. But no, let's make $1,250,000. Let's make $1,500,000. They just keep going. It becomes maybe an addiction, almost like an adrenaline addiction, just to achieve more at any cost. Achieving's not bad. Being successful is not bad. It's what cost is it costing you? Where are you giving? Where is it detrimental? Where is it pulling from your energy or your psyche or whatever, more than you have to give. That's when it gets to be psychotic.
Okay. So for someone listening who senses there's something missing beneath their success, what questions should they ask themselves?
Well, why? You
Mm,
got to start why. Why do you think that you're not successful or there's more to you or more to life? Why? And that's telling, because if they start externally, like I'm supposed to have a wife and kids, or I'm supposed to have the greatest boyfriend, or whatever it is. I'm supposed to be driving a Porsche by the time I'm 26. These are all external goals, right? So that's chasing the rabbit down the hole.
yeah.
And if they're unhappy because they're comparing themselves, see, social media really brought psychosis to an all time high. And as we know, suicide, because everybody on social media is an imposter. It is all a facade. My life's great. I'm going to Paris tomorrow and I'm with my loving husband. And, people that post how loving their husband is all the time. It's like, I don't know. You wouldn't have to, if you was, you wouldn't have to post so much. Anyway, that whole social media thing it's driven us to compare ourselves, because you see something, you're like, oh, I'm missing that in my life. So I'm answering your question, but it's in two parts. One is if they're externally motivated,
Yeah.
you really got to work on that. If they're internally motivated, and like, I just know there's more. I just come home and I just want to sit on the couch, but really I know I should be out with friends, or I get invited out and I don't. So they're feeling a little depression, oppression. They just feel kind of down. Then that may be internally motivated.
Yeah.
And that's a whole nother path to look at. There's many reasons why that could be. There's physical, mental health issues there. But also, why? Why do you feel like there's more? When you start asking those questions, they'll literally lead you to what's going on. And normally there's a place in the body that's holding this belief
Yeah.
now. And that's where we can start the work for me, because the body doesn't lie. The brain makes all kinds of excuses, but the body's not going to lie.
So tell us about WildHeart Expressive Method and the ChakraMental Method. What are the foundations and how do they work?
Okay. So I became certified as a somatic movement therapist in 1997. You do the math. And of course, none of this stuff was really heard much about in the southeast of America. Um, and I came back, but I opened up my own little place, hung up my own little shingle, and it was called back then Dance Kinetics. And it was a culmination of all kinds of movement therapies. The School for Body Mind Centering, yoga, and what yoga's the alignment. Yoga's all about aligning and the focusing of energy. And in yoga, you have the chakras, base 1 all the way up to 7, crown. And that was really good, because in the chakra method, you can focus on which part of the body the sensation is in. Anyway, I taught dance kinetics for so long, and it was correlated with body fluids. So the quality of the movement, say, you see my hands doing this, is very watery. So that would have been the intercellular fluid. I mean, who knows what that is? The cerebral spinal fluid. Who knows what that is? But that's very ethereal, because it's a suspension of fluid. Anyway, it's all about fluids. And it was not very fun to teach. So 2 years ago, when I started really ramping up my practice again, I thought, you know what? I've got to make this easy for people. I want people to command their bodies and their paths. I want people to feel free. Freedom comes from choice. And that is choosing not to do something and choosing to do something. If you're having any kind of body sensations, even when you think you're not, just to become aware. The book I wrote, Issues in Your Tissues, describes the chakra mental, because each chakra has an element like fire. That's easy to explain. Fire is passion, fire is anger. We kind of know that. We can relate to that. Fire burns, a burning in our heart, a burning in our belly. We know these things. Another one, water. We know what water is, but water is very flowy. It's about having acceptability in your life and flexibility in your life, adaptability. Water adapts to whatever container. And then you have metal. Metal is plain and simple, black and white. It cuts the chaff from the chaff, the staff from the chaff, because that way you can discern what you want and what you don't want. So that metal element, the movement is very straight. And you think, well, that's obvious. People can move from one point to the other in a room. And I say, not so easy. That's the hardest one, especially for women who are very, adaptable and watery, to just go from point A to point B without distraction. So all of these help a regular person who's curious at all understand where sensation is in their body, what type of emotional, physical, mental thing goes along with that. If you're feeling depression, where do you feel it in your body? So let's take that. You start feeling low and depressed, and I just can't get out. Well, where do you feel it in your body? Maybe you feel it in the stomach, right? All kinds of things happen in that stomach area. That's the third chakra. That is where your stomach discerns what you take in and what you let go of. So in that area, if you're taking in things that aren't good for you, you're going to get sensations in that stomach. You see how I tried to make the translation of our body's sensations and use of the elements to make it easy to really free people up
Yeah,
so that they command their own bodies.
absolutely. So in your work, you say your body is your messenger, your voice is your power. How does that shift or approach to leadership and fulfillment?
Oh, great question. My next book that will be out at the end of the year is called What's Messing with Your Messages. First book is the conversation, the communication between you and your body. All kinds of communication going on there. See, you had communication too. You had those voices telling you couldn't do it, right? That is communication. And it showed up in your body somewhere back then. In What's Messing with Your Messages, it's about body language. And believe it or not, 93% of all communication is nonverbal. We only hear really about 7%. The rest is eye contact, gesturing, how you're holding your body, your positioning, all those things. Think about it. And this is where the primal brain comes in. We're constantly looking at somebody for a clue. We're not listening so much. We're looking, we're feeling. So in leadership, it's really essential, going back to my Coca Cola days, that what you're saying and what message you want to get across to your employees or your boss or your children or your spouse or whatever matches what your body is telling us. So you have to know what's going on. You can't hide the stories. You can't feel insecure and tell us how confident you are. We will not hear it, and we won't trust anything else that comes out of your mouth. So you need to breed trust, of course, in your business and to motivate people. Your body's got to be motivated. You can't stand there like a stick and try to motivate people. You see
Yeah,
what I'm saying? So yeah,
absolutely.
it's essential in leadership.
Okay. For someone ready to connect body and mission, what are 2 or 3 practices they can start doing today?
Body and mission. Mm. Body and mission. So mission is like, what are your goals? What are you trying to accomplish? And how to connect your body. Well, you got to first make friends with your body, right?
Mhm.
You got to love it. Whether you like it or what you think you see, you've got to love this vehicle that is carrying your soul and your mind and everything else and your emotions. So the first thing you got to do is get familiar with your body. And then to match your body and mission, I'd say you have to do some soul searching. What is your mission? What are you really here for? I'm here to help people communicate. I love to communicate. I love to help people communicate because I believe communication is the foundation of all relationships. That's my mission. So when you watch me right now, even though we're on a podcast, You see, I'm gesticulating. I am saying with my hands, my body, my shoulders, my eyes, everything else, the same thing I'm saying to you. So, body and mission, your body needs to be a pure, clean vehicle for your message because it's your message that's going to get across your mission, right?
Yeah.
So this you just have to align with going back to your wonderful word, alignment, to align your mission, your focus with your body. I can simplify. Let me give one example. It's super simple. Um, if you have a directive and your entire mission is to keep people safe from kicking horses, you work on a ranch, and that's all you do. You work in a tourist, and your job is to keep people safe from the horses. Having curled down shoulders, looking at the ground, do you think anybody believes that they're safe around you? No. Okay. His head is nodding. No.
Yeah.
But so that's what I'm saying. Your mission, your body, if you are up, feel strong, you have your sense, you have your head on a swivel. So you have your eyes on the horses, you have your eyes on all the tourists, and you look alert and your body feels like it's alert and it looks alert and like you can handle it. You're standing on both feet, not on one, not leaning to one or the other, because that just shows you're kind of half in there. Your
Yeah.
body is so easy to interpret. People don't understand you're interpreting it all the time. So that's body and mission.
Awesome. Yeah. Excuse me. So, Angel, what's the next chapter for you? What are you building in Wild Heart Expressive or your work that excites you?
This new book coming out, What's Messing with Your Messages, because it will have a corporate application. And I'm applying to be and will be going through the process of becoming a Vistage speaker, Vistage with the CEOs. It's a CEO support, international support groups all over the world. And they bring in experts. And I feel like my point of view of the somatic way is the feeling your way through, men, unfortunately, in this culture are not taught to feel. And so as a leader, you can't not feel. So it's about reading the room. How do you know? It's also about reading the person, the employee that you're talking to. They may have just had a horrible divorce or a fight or something happen, and you can't go into explaining, their performance report when the listening is not there. So it's really about being very conscientious and responsible. That's a big thing for me. You are responsible for what comes out of your mouth. How it lands, now that's their responsibility. But when you're speaking into, let's say, a conservative group, or I say like you're talking to the farmers union,
Mhm.
and you show up in a three-piece suit, you're not going to get their attention. It's about being responsible, knowing who your subjects is. So next year, I'm going on tour. And I am available if anybody gets turned on by this podcast, reach out to me if you want me to come and talk to your group. Because I love bringing management together, learning about the different styles, like the difference between an esteem and confidence, because they're different. And I do like a 4-tier game. So you learn to see if somebody has high self-esteem or low self-esteem and the things you can do if you're developing your employees, if you're developing your company, if you're bringing cohesiveness. This is a really great way of helping. So I'm excited about sharing the work, my book, my podcast, The Upshift, and I have a new TV show that's coming out. It's a local PBS. So we serve 4 states, 2.6 million households, and it's called Women Our Age. And it's talking to experts about as women age, nobody talks about it. And it's like, let's talk about it, the things. And so that's a new show that's coming up. But I'm really excited about the travel. I'm excited about touring around and talking to people and meeting strangers. That's what I'm excited about.
Awesome. That's awesome. So, if listeners take only one thing away from this conversation, what should it be?
how important communication is in their life. Like, not to be flippant, not to throw things out of your mouth at somebody, and to notice, just stop for a second, take a breath, that tiniest little pause between a feeling, especially if it's intense, and the speaking. You have the power to remove yourself from the situation. So I want everybody to feel responsible. They're responsible, and you're responsible for letting people know how you feel and what you need. Because that actually makes everybody a lot more comfortable if they know nothing's hidden. So communication really is the foundation of all relationships.
So how would you encourage listeners to begin acting on this today instead of waiting for enough time, right moment, or perfect success?
Well, noticing is the best thing. But get my book. My book's on Amazon.com, Barnes and Noble. Just Google or go to Amazon.com. Issues in Your Tissues by Angel Howard. And join my mailing list. That's a great way to find out. And also, I'm on LinkedIn. And on LinkedIn, I actually do education. I release things 4 times a month that have to do with a chakra and an element. And I do videos. But also in that book, there's QR codes after every chapter where you can dance with me on YouTube. Not live dancing. But and I have Spotify lists. If you're like, I don't know what kind of music to put on, it's like I got you covered. So
Excuse me, hold on one second. But
oh.
I am back. Sorry about that.
You need to come on stage. There you go.
Oh man. Yes. So sorry.
um oh, I think I was in the middle. So I can start with go to my website and join my mailing list. You can always email me, angel@angelhoward.co. Super easy. You can Google me, Angel Howard. I've now come up. It was on top yesterday. Who knows today? But you'll find me if you Google me, Angel Howard. And yeah, angelhoward.co. Join my mailing list because I give about 4 of those out a year. But I'm running a campaign right now for raising money for PBS and local programming, because local programming is disappearing in our nation. So yeah, that's what angel@angelhoward.co. Email me, join my mailing list. You can find me on Facebook. Yes, you can find me on Instagram. LinkedIn's the best though. And you can message me, DM me on LinkedIn because I'm of that age. I'd love to hear from your listeners. Like, ask me questions. I would love it.
Oh, I'll include your LinkedIn link in the description and everything. And so yeah, so you have everybody listeners, reach out to Angel. She'll definitely hit y'all back up. So Angel, thank you so much for being such a great guest. But now we've come to the part of the show where you get the solo screen, and once again you get the spotlight, and you get to plug away, let everybody websites, Amazon, everything.
All right. Okay. You can find me anywhere. Angelhoward.co is my website. Find out more about me there. Hire me to speak. Have me come into your corporate group. Yay. Look for my new book coming out, What's Messing with Your Messages. A lot of good information there on just communication anyway. But if you happen to be in the corporate world, great stuff. I'd love to come in and talk to your people. I'd love to bring them together into a cohesive team. And join my mailing list. I think I said that. LinkedIn, Instagram, it's all Angel Howard. So I'm pretty easy to find.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being such a wonderful guest. I appreciate your time. I would love to have you back when you release the new book. So if for the new year, if you want to come back and come promote the book, I'd love to have that.
Shout out to Podmatch. You found me on Podmatch,
Yes, I
right?
did.
Yeah. So shout out to them. That has become such a wonderful platform, and I've made some great friends
Yes.
from
So I have.
hooking up. Yeah, it's hosts and guests.
It's an amazing platform. Shout out to Podmatch because they just accomplished something amazing. They have given back $1 million to podcasters on their platform.
Nice.
I've benefited from it. They actually give back to podcasters in Podmatch. I pay $6 a month, but there's certain guests that I interview, and Podmatch actually pays me a commission for interviewing these guests.
How nice.
So
Yeah.
Podmatch has delivered what they said they were going to do. They've given back $1 million to podcasters. So I'm excited. Shout out to Alex and Alicia Sanfilippo. They're amazing.
Great. Yeah. Love that. I'm glad we're doing that. Yep. Perfect.
But again, you're more than welcome to come back, promote the book when once it's released. I would love to have you back on. This was awesome. But don't leave just yet. Let me close out the show and we'll chat a little bit off the air. But thank you so much for being such a great guest.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, I appreciate you. Thank you. All right, everybody. Another great episode is in the books. If Angel's message resonated, head to our website or search WildHeart Expressive or anything she mentioned. Go look for it and explore her programs, retreats, her books, issues in your tissues. And the link will be in the show notes. And if you know someone who's done the work but still feels disconnected from their body or their voice, share this episode. Please, because it's important. Because real leadership begins from the inside, the body, the joy of being. Stay embodied, stay aligned, and stay wise. You know your boy Wize does it. Peace out.